Hey, YouTube, here again. We're going to cover some things today, going over several things going on out there. One of them being protests, another one being prizes, teleprompters, and of course, Joe and Donald here. And so don't forget to like, subscribe, follow us, comment, do whatever you like to do there. And without further ado, let's go ahead and cover it. Ready, set, go.
Tonight, demonstrators out in front of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Station in South Los Angeles protesting the death of Kizee, who was shot and killed by deputies last week on Budlong Avenue. Demonstrators representing the National Revolution Tour, the Revolution Club, and RevCom, self-described revolutionary communists. This was their press conference earlier today.
This system cannot be reformed. It needs to be overthrown.
They criticized the tactics the Sheriff's Department used to clear a crowd of BLM protesters on Saturday. Then this happened.
We're not here.
Two men, one a candidate for Congress, the other saying he's a cousin of Kizee, broke up the news conference and asked the protesters to leave.
Don't come out here and tear up stuff. We need reform. We don't need people tearing up our communities.
When they come into the district and they're from Fountain Valley, they're from Reno Valley, they're from Palmdale, they're from Lancaster, and have never lived in Los Angeles, how do you come into a district and say through a tweeter message that you're going to burn down the police station?
By day, the demonstration was peaceful. Sheriff Alex Villanueva turned out to keep an eye on things. Foster could be seen talking with the sheriff and shaking hands.
Okay, guys, so let's go ahead and cover this here. And so what's happening here? Let's talk about that. So we have a situation here where there's some protesting out here in Los Angeles. It's been happening past few nights. And so it has to do with Kizee. Many of you have seen the video. Perhaps you have, perhaps you haven't. I can't show it to you on here. I don't want to get dinged on that. But ultimately, when we look at that video, he ran from the cops. He took his sweater off. Not a problem there. Cops chased him. And apparently a gun fell out of his sweater there. And so what do we make of that? And that's what we got to think about, and that's what we have to come down to. Okay, so I'm going to make this quick. And again, I don't want to say anybody deserves to die because they don't. But in his case, if you're going to show a gun, if you're going to run away from the cops, you're going to get shot. That's just, not that it should happen, but it's just going to happen. That's what we see. That's what happens. The cops, they want to get home too. They want to be safe. So I think the biggest issue with the story that I've seen, at least, is that the cops, when they did this, they shot him, I think it was 18 times. That's a little excessive. I can see that. Perhaps a few times, if there was a threat, okay, probably no more than 3 times should probably be sufficient. I think you've stopped the guy. Maybe if you have to 5, whatever. But 18 is rather excessive, and I think that's the issue with this story. So it is what it is in that case. Let's look at it a little closer. So we have people here who are protesting, who are coming from all over the place, people who are claiming to be communists. And so the city says it's fine. Other people are saying it's not. This congressman says it's not. This guy who says he's his cousin, but there's some kind of thing going on with him in terms of how he also is contributing to the community there. And so with him, there's a lot of stuff going on here. But what the heck is going on? So we got communists coming in. We got all this stuff. They say the system's got to come down and all this. Is it the shooting? Is it the fact that you want to get rid of our system? Is it what is it? That's the problem. So I'm gonna give you a quick PSA here. Number 1, if you don't want to get shot by the cops, don't run from them. Number 2, if you don't want to get shot by the cops, don't pull out a gun. Number 3, if you don't want to get shot by the cops, don't go after their gun. Number 4, if you don't want to get shot by the cops, don't reach for their taser. Number 5, if you don't want to get shot by the cops, don't run at them or away from them. Number 5, if you don't want to get shot by the cops, don't pull out a knife or reach into your car. If you don't want to get shot by the cops, don't resist. Ultimately, I mean, that's just what it is. I know if I resisted a cop, I'm going to get shot. Doesn't matter. White, black, brown, doesn't matter. If you're going to resist and you're going to resist to the point that they feel endangered, you're going to get shot. That's just what's going to happen. If I go after a bee and it feels that it's in danger, it's going to sting me. That's just what's going to happen. It's just common sense. So that's my support to you. That's my supportive comment here. And let's just move on because I think we've done more than enough. And so this article says that same crime, more time. Okay, and this is by Georgia State University. It was a research that they study that they did. And so what they found ultimately is that black men tend to put in more time for the same crime. That's something we can argue, right? And so if you end up in prison or jail, it is likely that you will spend more time there if you happen to be black. That's what That's what they found. This is back in 2016, I believe. And so they monitored about 16 years. They also looked at, okay, between 1980s, 1990s, if we look at that crime bill that was passed right during that time. So there were a lot of discrepancies there. A lot of it had to do with that, and a lot of it had to do with the war on drugs. And but that's one thing that's coming up, is that there's that discrepancy. So rather than attack the cops, rather than run from them, rather than not following the instruction that they give you, resisting arrest, whatever it is, again, that will be lost. You go with it, and the groups that are fighting this, perhaps the fight's not so much on the street where we destroy everything. Perhaps the fight is changing these court systems where people are being sent to prison for longer periods of time than they should be. I think that's a major solution. And again, it should be equal as well. You know, if you're white, brown, whatever it is, it should be the same time for the same crime, ultimately. And so that's where the thing is, and that's where the change should come. I think that's just my opinion. I think that's something that can change and should change. So moving on to the next one. Here's another research that was conducted, trends in correctional control, race and sex. And so it says that racial disparities declined across corrections populations between 2000 and 2016. And so here's something that says something a little different between 2016 and 2000, that these disparities changed over time. And so it says in recent years, racial disparities in imprisonment have decreased. BJS reports have drawn attention to trend showing that since the mid-2000s, Black and Hispanic incarceration rates have fallen faster than those for whites. So the rates had fallen, but the difference was its length in time. And so that's the discrepancy that we need to look at. Interesting stuff, but we only have so much time. Let's move on to the next thing here. And so the next story here that we're going to talk about is Fauci. Fauci's coming out saying some things, and let's just go ahead and listen to what he's saying.
I am concerned when I see things starting to move indoors, and that becomes more compelling when you get into the fall and the winter season.
In an interview Friday, Dr. Anthony Fauci said it will likely be another year before things return to normal.
If you're talking about getting back to a degree of normality which resembles where we were prior to COVID, it's going to be well into 2021, maybe even towards the end of 2021.
Beyond 2021. So we're looking at another, what, year and a half-ish before things get to normal? Now, I'm going to give Fauci a little credit here. So it could be he's talking about things getting back to normal, like 100%. We have 30 kids in a class or something, right? So when it comes to school, I think that's what he's referring to. I'm hoping, at least. So things, as we're seeing them progressing, they're moving forward. Kids are beginning in some areas to go back to school, 12 in a class, social distancing, so on and so forth. So there's some normality that's coming back, but I think he's talking about 100%. And that's still kind of, what can you say? Kind of shocking too, right? Where we won't be going back to a sense of normality for about another year and a half. A few things I want to cover here on Democracy Now! This came out yesterday, so a few of their headlines that I wanted to cover. So one of them is India records another record daily coronavirus toll. And so India, apparently their numbers are increasing drastically. The number of COVID-19 cases globally has topped 28 million with over 910,000 dead. And so in Latin America, the total number of cases have topped 8 million, more infections than any other region in the world. India has reported another 96,000 new cases, once again breaking the record for the most cases in a single day. India is skyrocketing. From the looks of it, they may be passing us pretty soon. They're getting pretty close. And so it's not a race. We're not talking about that. All I'm saying is this is just continuing. When we look at those numbers, right? So recent numbers said that 6% of the population affected by COVID-19 died only of COVID-19, whereas others died because they had secondary issues going on. And so something to monitor, again, if you do happen to catch it and you don't have other coexisting conditions, you're young. Like I said, there's several people who I know that contracted it, some people died. Some of them had coexisting conditions. Some of them did not die. They were young. They were able to overcome it. And not even too young. I mean, in their 50s. So people like The Rock and so on, people who, in general, not that I know The Rock, that's what I'm saying. So people in general, it's something to definitely watch. It definitely take care of yourselves. But at the same time, it's it seems that people are getting over it. If you look at the number of people who've gotten over it and people who have died from it, there's a drastic difference between those numbers. So something to keep in mind as we're talking about possibly going into 2021, the end of 2021, and continuing with these measures. So going on here, it says Amazon accused of price gouging after raising prices up to 1,000% during lockdown. Wow. So we were being ripped off ultimately by Amazon, is what it's telling us. So is it Amazon itself or is it the vendors? Well, Amazon's supposed to monitor that. And so if they didn't, that's an issue. And it goes on to say something about Bezos personally paying that he makes so much money that he could literally pay each of his 176,000 employees a six-figure bonus. I don't know. That sounds, it's a socialist approach, right? Where the worker should get paid the same as the owner. I don't quite agree with that. I'm sorry. When you invest money, time, and effort into a company, you put it together, and you also take the chance of loss, such as these companies that go out of business. Everybody else just moves on to another job. I don't think it's the same responsibility. But at the same time, the quantity of money that some people are making is just is absurd to a point. This particular topic is that Joe Biden says he may further increase military spending if elected. Okay, very interesting because we just talked about Trump lowering it and talking about reducing the amount that these companies are getting. Joe is now taking the opposite approach. The left saying this, and I'm still my brain is just doesn't know which way to turn. The left typically was anti-military spending and finding ways to spend. You know, even Bernie Sanders has talked about lowering military spending. Joe is now saying that he would increase it so that we could invest in IT and technology that doesn't involve soldiers. And so that's a good thing, but at the same time, you're talking about increasing military spending, and I'm just looking at this. And I'm like, okay, is this only in response to Trump saying he's going to reduce it? I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. The left has always said otherwise, so I don't get what is happening there. And we talked about that particular story. So let's move on to the next one. Okay, so recently Donald Trump was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. It says by Norwegian officials citing Israel UAE peace deal. Some people are happy. Some people are saying, what the heck are you talking about? How are we nominating this guy? And so bear with me. I may not say this name correctly. Tybring Kizee, in his nomination letter to the Nobel Committee, said the Trump administration has played a key role in the establishment of relations between Israel and the UAE. As it is expected, other Middle Eastern countries will follow in the footsteps of the UAE. This agreement could be a game changer, and this is Fox News, that will turn the Middle East into a region of cooperation and prosperity, he wrote. So we hope this is the case. It says also cited in the letter was the president's key role in facilitating contact between conflicting parties and so on and so forth. It says also things like such as Kashmir border dispute between India and Pakistan and the conflict between North Korea and South Korea, as well as dealing with nuclear capabilities of North Korea. So he's had his hand in different things. It says beside Obama, 3 other U.S. presidents have won the Nobel Peace Prize. President Theodore Roosevelt, 1906, for having negotiated peace with Russo-Japanese War. President Woodrow Wilson, 1920, and so forth, and Jimmy Carter. And so, again, what are we saying here? I don't know. What do you think? What do people think? Does he deserve a Nobel Peace Prize? From what I'm hearing, we really haven't been in an official war. You know, during Obama, during Bush, during Clinton, we had all these different bombings. Kosovo, we had different issues in all over the world. You know, where we were supporting the bombing of these countries, whether we were directly involved like Iraq, we were indirectly involved like Kosovo. We were. There's so many different things that were happening. We were part of war, even though we didn't start it. We really don't have that right now. That's interesting. It's something to consider when we're looking at this. That being said, the Atlantic came out and said we should end the Nobel Peace Prize. That's for this guy, Gareem, I don't know his name, Gareem Wood. He said that we should end it so that we stop giving, I guess, prizes that aren't deserved, is ultimately what it starts saying here. It says, another of Nobel's criteria for the prize, he noted, is the abolition of reduction of standing armies. In his wisdom, Tybring, and this is the guy that we talked about who nominated Trump, Trump has withdrawn soldiers from Iraq and Afghanistan. I pointed out that Trump also boasts that he is building up the standing armies of the United States. But reduction does not necessarily mean troop numbers, Tybring Jetty reported. If you don't use your soldiers, the best ones will quit. If you're a doctor, you only get to use your skills on a doll. of course, you quit. And that is what will happen with Trump. He approved of Trump's comments on Monday, in which he accused his top military advisors of being corporate vampires, wanting to do nothing but fight wars so that all those wonderful companies can make bombs and stay happy. So, and that's what we just talked about. Biden is now saying that he wants to increase military spending. Trump is now saying he wants to decrease it. Whereas when Trump came in, he increased it. So it's all political game. I'm not sure what they're going to do. You know, like I said, Obama was involved in several bombing conflicts and different things. Bush was, you know, when Iraq came into play. What's his name? Bill Clinton, same thing. And so, you know, we have Daddy Bush as well, you know, George Bush Sr., who also was involved in different wars with Kuwait and different things. So this is actually the only time we seem to be somewhat at peace, other than Trump's mouth. That seems to be where he fights the most. Do we give someone a Nobel Prize for the effect of his action but not his intention? At this, he hesitated and said the effect and intention of the Israeli Emirati agreement was aligned, and that was what should matter. So again, just another perspective here. He goes on to say a few more things about, you know, the comparison between Mother Teresa and Henry Kissinger. Henry Kissinger, as we know, got us involved in several conflicts and apparently pulled us out of one. And so versus, you know, Mother Teresa was also nominated for it. So very different in terms of that perspective. And there's some stuff on Mother Teresa that I've heard, don't know, haven't verified it. But anyway, that's what this guy's arguing, that instead of giving them away to just about anybody in between, because I guess to get the Nobel Peace Prize, there has to be a period of peace. In order to be a period of peace, it takes time to develop those skills, to develop, you know, those relations. And so therefore it takes that time in between. And he's saying, why even give it at that time? So it's a perspective. I'm going to jump on to the next one here. Breitbart came out and caught this. I'm not sure if it was them, but this is their reporting here. So Breitbart came out and said that Joe Biden appears to reflect teleprompter text during his interview. As you can see here on this picture, his screen shows kind of like a Zoom layout where he has 4 different pictures. One is himself, another one is the person he's talking to, another one is, I can't really tell what's on there, and then the fourth one, apparently it's verbiage. And it's his teleprompter. This teleprompter appears to show up a lot. And so regardless of what he's answering, stating, or anything, kind of worried when it comes to our debates. What the heck is going to happen? I'm really looking forward to that, because I think that'll be the time where we see truly if Biden really has all his faculties about him, as he would say. And so let's take a look at this video.
And in addition to that, we have to make sure that we are in a position that we are. Well, let me go to the second thing. I've spoken enough of that.
Do you guys see the hand who knows coming up? He's kind of signaling, "Hey, I can't see. You got to move those words up, guys. I can't see what's happening."
The president must use the Defense Production Act.
And I would like to know, what will your administration do to help them give them that chance? Thank you.
Let's move it up here. You know, there used to be a basic bargain in this country. Workers shared in the wealth their work helped create. So they're 3 of my favorite pictures. But the great thing about having been in public life so long, I have so many incredible pictures, including one here that may be too heavy to lift up. But this is one of my favorite pictures. It's a picture of me and my 2 boys when they were in high school, when they were in college. Oh, I don't know whether you can see that.
Just move it. Just move it. Oh, look at that.
You guys see those words there? That's a teleprompter.
And that's, I have that hanging in my bedroom. And I really
help one person at a time. And so my admiration for you is equally as deeply held by President. Stop moving what's this thing called? You know, teleprompter. Barack always kids and he says, Joe Biden, he said, I'm learning to speak without a teleprompter. Joe's learning to speak with one.
All right, guys. So that's what we have for you today. So again, looking forward to those debates. Let's see what happens. He may need a teleprompter then. Who knows? They may find a way to sneak him one. If we look at those old videos where he stated that he was 76 in his class, and I think that's what the number that he gave, and that he was at the top of his class, and he was, scored this and scored that, had this degree and that degree. He didn't. And so maybe he'll write on his hand or something. I don't know. Hopefully not. But anyway, thank you guys for coming. Thank you for checking out the show. We'll have more stuff for you. Keep an eye out. We'll be starting a new channel pretty soon. This channel focuses on the news, the latest, the headlines, what's happening, a little bit of discussion, a little bit of opinion here and there, and a little bit of clarity if we need it. The next channel will take some of this information and we will apply biblical knowledge and biblical truth to it to see, okay, how does the Bible fit into this and how does it apply? So feel free to check out this channel. Feel free to check out that channel. It should be coming soon. Thank you guys again. Like, subscribe, comment, do what you need to do. Thank you guys for coming and have a good night.